Sounds good.
What's going on, you guys? It is JC. We are here, the Throne Podcast, episode 103. And today I'm joined for the very first time by a special guest. Man, Johnny Christ needs no introduction. How's it going, brother?
It's going very well, man. Thanks for having me. I'm glad that you reached out. I was on Instagram Live and you just put out there, "Hey, would you come and do my podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And thanks for your patience in scheduling.
No, man, of course. It's my pleasure. Honestly, it was one of those things where I barely see you on Instagram Live. You just happen to pop up. I popped in and I saw my opportunity. I was like, fuck it. You know what I mean?
Well, you definitely seized the moment there. It was good.
Seized the day.
You seized the day. Yeah. Okay. No, that's a good pun. I like it. I don't go on Instagram Live very often, but easy for me to say. Amidst the pandemic, I started going to live on my YouTube channel for Drinks with Johnny, and the Instagram was kind of a good segue from that into, like, I go on just to basically tell people, "Hey, I'm about to be live on YouTube. Go check it out over there."
Yeah. I basically caught a little bit of the entrails of that. I just took my shot in the dark. And again, just want to say thank you for coming on. And actually, it's like the first thing before we get started, man. I've been, doing my homework a little bit, going back on some of the stuff that I used to watch. And just as a toast to the show, I picked up a little bottle of Johnny Walker because
nice.
I heard
Black Label right there.
Yes, sir.
I like that stuff.
I heard your original name originally was going to be Johnny Walker, and you ended up going with Johnny Christ, man.
Yeah, that lasted about a day.
Copyright issues?
Yeah, no, it wasn't even that. I mean, we weren't worried about that at that time. We were still in M Shadow's parents' garage,
Nice.
and yeah, we were. I just joined the band, and everyone had their AKAs, their pseudonyms, and there was a lot of ones that were thrown around for me. And one of them was Johnny Walker, and I think it was Zach that actually came up with the Johnny Christ thing, and then it kind of just stuck from there.
Hey, man, well, it's a cool name. It's a little ballsy, so I appreciate that in that respect. But cheers to Drinks with Johnny. Cheers to the show.
Cheers, man.
Cheers to Avenged Sevenfold, man. You guys are a band that I've been listening to for a long time. Oh, that shit never gets any easier. And it's really kind of surreal to be sitting here talking with you. But I guess let's just jump into the show. You've been doing it for a little over a year now, right? Drinks with
Yes,
Johnny?
you're correct. Yeah. So it started out, the first kind of episode, I guess, was actually more of a promo. Avenged Sevenfold, us in the band, had kind of taken back our merch, and we're starting to do it kind of in-house with the help of Black Craft Cult clothing. And we were starting to let people know that we were in the driver's seat of our merch again, especially our online stuff. So Zach had a couple of ideas to run some promo videos on our social media. One of the ideas was to hang out at my bar, and from that point on, it was like, oh shit, I don't mind being in front of a camera. Let's just let this shit ride. And then I started to develop it last season, where I was trying to do 20-minute episodes, and I was like, why am I trying to fit this all into 20 minutes? Let's go let it live on its own thing, on a YouTube channel, on a podcast in full form. So I started just having friends over, different bands and different things. And I was like, let's just do what we do all the time when you're at my house anyway, and just throw a camera on it and see if the content's okay.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. So and then it's developed, and just in February of this year, we launched Drinks with Johnny YouTube channel on its own, and Drinks with Johnny as the podcast, and it's kind of developed into something that's different, where I'm getting to meet people that maybe I wouldn't rub elbows with, and get to learn their lives.
Yeah, and I kind of, it's the same thing for me. Like, originally I started interviewing just local metal acts and stuff, because that's pretty much the people that I was around, playing shows. It's like a little bit of a community. And, you're around so many talented people when you're coming up, and they don't always have a platform to talk about their music or express themselves. So that was kind of the idea for this show, kind of giving all the locals like just a place where they could talk about their music, promote their upcoming shows, shit like that. And eventually I ran out of metal bands. You know what I mean? It's in Miami. There's only so many. So eventually I expanded to just all artists, photographers, fashion designers. And the same thing how you said, it's put me in a room talking to someone who I might never have crossed paths with before.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the fun thing about podcasting, just in general. I'm looking at some of the art though you got in the background there. Like,
Yeah.
is that is see from my vantage point, it could be completely wrong, but is that Dennis Rodman with a fucking wig on?
Yo, that is Tyler the Creator, but that was pretty good. That is not Dennis Rodman with a wig. I should find a Dennis Rodman with a wig poster now. But hey, if you find one, shoot me the link, man, because I'd be more
I
than
do know.
happy to
Okay,
have him
now that you say it's Tyler the Creator, I see it. But like, I mean, I was looking, I was like, because I'm friends with Dennis, I was like, that kind of looks like Dennis with a fucking wig
with a
on. That's
wig.
funny.
A wig doesn't seem too like far out of his ballpark either. You know what
No,
I mean?
I was trying to remember in my history, like my memory, the memory of my history is like, oh, when the fuck did he ever put a wig on like that? Clearly, I was wrong.
No, man. Almost. He is wearing a wig. But did you have a moment ever? Because I heard you talking about how you don't really get nervous before shows. I mean, eventually you just do so many that it's kind of just whatever. It's your job. But you do get nervous before some interviews. So who's been some of the people that have had you nervous?
Oh, dude, great question. And yeah, it's not necessarily that I never get nervous about a show anymore, but
Right.
it's a different kind of nervous. It's more of an excitement, not really, you know. I don't want to sound like I don't give a fuck about the show. I'm just like, hey, whatever. But like, it's just a different kind of feeling than it originally was of nervousness. And yeah, there's been a few where, again, crossing paths with different people of different walks of life that I never thought I would have the chance to talk to. For me, one of the ones that sticks out in my mind to this day is Eric Bischoff. He used to
Oh
be the
wow.
CEO of WCW, which
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of as a child. So I'm literally talking to, someone that's a childhood hero of mine. Well, maybe not a hero
Wow.
because he was always playing a heel,
Yeah,
but
he was always the
you get
bad guy.
there. And he
You
was
can like
great
the
at it.
bad guy though. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
of
was
course.
phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's a very, very awesome dude. Our producer reached out to him, and I was like, "There's no way you're ever gonna get Eric Bischoff to do my fucking show. Like, why would he care?" And especially because it's like it's its own thing now. It's not like, oh, it's Avenged Sevenfold. It's no, this is Drinks with Johnny. It's its own thing. It's completely separate.
Right.
And for him to come on, I was a little nervous because I was like texting him and emailing him back and forth. And he's one of these more old school people that like when they text or email back and forth, it's like very concise answers. It's like, yes, no, no, maybe. And I'm like, okay, fuck. And then, but once I got on the call with him, it was awesome. It was like, I had so much in common with the guy, and I had a lot to talk to him about. And it came out. I mean, he had a blast doing it. Um, as I said, he's got a podcast he does with Conrad Thompson called 83
Oh,
Weeks with Eric Bischoff, and that it's one of the first podcasts that I got into that got me into podcasting. So it was really cool
oh.
to have a conversation with him after listening to his show for the past 2 years.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think that's kind of cool. Like almost pre-virus, a lot of people had their own podcasts. Like people you would never expect. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Undertaker's doing one now. Stone Cold has like his TV show,
Broken Skull Diaries or whatever stories are
something
so
like
good.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
dude,
just
so
him
good. I've been
talking to.
watching.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, just him talking to other wrestlers, man. Just shooting the
Yeah.
shit, talking about behind the scenes. I saw one on the Montreal screw job.
Yeah, with Bret Hart. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, they were just going over it, and I think somebody told them
Good
to stay
episode.
backstage or something like that. And you know, I was a wrestling fan when I was younger, but I grew up in like the John Cena days already. You know what I mean? Attitude Era was pretty much long gone. So what were your like? Do you have a favorite wrestler or favorite wrestling moment? I know it's kind of a
Oh
cheesy
wow.
question.
No. It's actually a great one. See, a lot of people like think of wrestling. I see they're like, why is Johnny such a big fan of wrestling? I'm like, I don't know, because I fucking am. Like, I don't know what
Yeah,
to tell you.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, a favorite wrestler. I mean, you named a couple of my favorites right there: Undertaker, Stone Cold,
Yeah.
Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels,
Oh
Triple
yeah.
H. Everything from the Attitude Era is absolutely my favorite thing. Generation X was like
Oh
when
man.
that came out, I was like, oh, you got to be fucking kidding me. And it was
Dude.
so ridiculous. It was so ridiculous. That's why I loved it. Like NWO, Generation X, both of those over the top kind of storylines.
Hmm.
Like that was the height of my fandom. But I will say, going back as even a young child, Ric Flair is probably, I have to say, my all-time favorite, because there's been many who have done things and been inspired by him throughout the years.
Yeah,
But he was the OG. Like the way that he
for real.
played heel was like that was like the beginning of great heel work, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Ric Flair. I mean, he was around for so long. I mean, like I said, even when I was growing up, you still knew the Nature Boy. Everyone knew who he was.
The Nature Boy,
Always put on a good
absolutely.
show. The figure four leg lock is a fucking classic. Or the way he would sell the hits and then just fall over. Oh
Oh,
man,
dude,
like
so good. The way just face plant, walk on one side to the other of the ring and face plant down. I was like, this guy's amazing.
yeah, in his 60s, dude, just not giving a fuck, cutting in the corner and shit.
Dude, he still wants to get back in the ring. I heard he had a health scare, and he was like, and he luckily, from what I've not had the pleasure of speaking to Rick yet. I say yet because he's on my list.
Okay.
But I heard through another mutual friend that he had a little bit of a health scare, got it fixed, and now he feels better than he has in a long time. And it's inciting him the idea that maybe he gets back in the ring and takes a couple bumps. I'm like, wow, dude, you're nuts.
For real, for real. I mean, for someone that old to lace
I
up the
don't know if
boots
he's actually
again.
going to do it. I'm not putting anything out there in the universe that he's actually going to do it. I'm just saying, like, I've heard him talk a little bit, but and it's probably just because he feels really good right now, and I'm really happy for him that he was able to deal with those issues.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like once you get up in age, obviously, you know, you still want to live your best life and whatnot, but there's just some things like you have Mike Tyson now putting up IG videos of him pounding the mitts and
Dude
talking
still looks
about,
fucking rad, dude. He
yeah,
still looks
yeah,
rad.
yeah. Mike Tyson might actually be the exception, but just
We'll
someone of
see.
that age.
I'm just really happy to be able to see that. I mean, but here's the thing: a lot of people right now with ageism that's out there are forgetting that George Foreman came back well into his 50s and won the heavyweight title
That's a
when
good
he
point.
beat what was it, Tommy the Gun. I forget his last name now, but he came in and beat him many years after he retired, and that was George Foreman. Who else can you compare to George Foreman? Mike Tyson, someone who had
That's true.
that kind of reputation in the boxing ring.
Yeah, I mean, really, those are two monsters of their division. You know, their weight class.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Mike Tyson being such like a short dude. I mean, he's so stocky and just strong.
Oh yeah,
He was
it
knocking out
would be
dudes.
very interesting to see because a lot of people are like, oh well, he's too small for the current heavyweight division because obviously Tyson Fury is in there and he's such a fucking technically amazing boxer. Like if you watch that guy, it's freakish sometimes what he can pull off with his hands. And I get it, he would have the reach, he would have the size, he'd have all that. But there was a couple other people that Mike Tyson fought in the 90s that had that kind of reach advantage and that kind of advantage, and he still knocked him on their ass. So
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
convinced that he couldn't do it again.
Yeah, you know, there's something crazy about the heavyweight division right now. You have Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, the dude that Tyson Fury beat, Deontay Wilder, right?
Wilder, yep.
Yeah. So, but Fury is just, I mean, won his heart. I mean, the dude was licking blood off of Wilder. Like,
That was weird.
yeah, it was weird. But yo, would you want to fight him? Would you want to fight him
No,
after
fuck
that?
no.
He's
I want to have a beer with him sometime down the line, but I don't want to fight him.
definitely it adds to this intimidation factor. And
Actually,
like,
he doesn't drink. I should retract that because I know that he's sober and everything now. So like I don't want to
wow.
put. We'll share water with him. Well, how about that?
A sparkling water.
Yeah, there
But
we go.
no, I mean he's just so freakish, man. I mean a dude that tall who can move that quick. He's got amazing head movement. Like I would love to see Tyson definitely, like maybe in his prime, but even in his 50s, I'd pay for it. I mean, fuck it, I paid
Oh
for
yeah, we're
McGregor
gonna
versus
watch it.
Mayweather.
I think I actually saw something that Tyson Fury said that he would fight him in an exhibition match. It would be an exhibition in his eyes. They would do an exhibition match and like to get him back into it. And he said he'd totally be down. I mean, he's named after the guy, for fuck's sake. How cool would that be to like
That
see
is
that?
true.
You know, like that would be a very cool generational kind of fight. Of course we buy it. Like I mean, we bought it when Connor was going to fight Mayweather,
Yeah,
and
I
he
just said
wasn't a
that.
boxer.
Yeah, it was I love that fight. Honestly,
I loved
like
it too. I love the hype more than
yeah,
even the
yeah.
fight.
The
hype
build
was
up,
great.
the fucking press tour they did, fucking
It
just
was
talking
so
shit to each
good.
other.
It was so good.
Yo, I don't think we're ever gonna get anything like that again, or anytime soon, anyway. Because Connor is such a personality, and then Mayweather is such a different personality, and
And you know
having
what's
those
funny is
dudes.
Mayweather is one of the nice. I've had the pleasure of meeting Mayweather before.
Mhm.
He's one of the nicest dudes out there. So it's like funny when you see him like turn it on for something. It's like it's so rad. It's just he's
Oh
just such a
man,
good dude.
some people just know how to play the heel, man.
Yeah,
It's just one of those things, and it puts asses in seats, and it puts eyes on the television.
of course. We
Um,
always want the good guy versus bad guy. Oh, we
yeah,
always will.
something about it. Another question, completely unrelated, is an awful segue, but just something that I know listeners of the show are gonna want to hear. As a local band now, especially with the Corona stuff, and we can't play gigs and shit, but
Mhm.
even pre that, it seemed like the way people consume music compared to like maybe 15 years ago when you released City of Evil, or 10 years ago even when you released Nightmare. People would actually go to the store and buy a CD. Like I remember taking a bus to Best Buy and paying some adult to buy me Nightmare because it had a parental advisory on it. You know what I mean?
Oh shit!
And people don't
I
really
didn't
do that
even think
anymore.
about that. No, I didn't even think. Wow, that was still you were still doing that in 2010. Jesus,
I well,
I'm
I
getting you're showing my age, sir.
well the thing is, I personally enjoy physical media when it comes to bands that I like or just artists that I want to support. So like right now I'm into vinyls. Like most of these posters just happen to come with vinyls. You know what I mean? And CDs are kind of just like whatever. So vinyl is kind of what I've stuck to. And now, people like pre-download an album before it comes out. Um, it seems like people are getting a hot, quote unquote, like off a single more than off an album. And so I guess
Hmm.
I just kind of wanted to get your opinion on if it's worth for a local act who's trying to make it in the music business to drop 12 great songs at one time that maybe a week later is looked over, or like maybe drop those 12 songs separately over time to try and build hype, or
Well, I
something
mean,
like that.
no, it's a great question, and not to sidestep it.
Hmm.
I don't have a great answer.
Okay.
It's kind of like the Wild West, though. I mean, I'll try and answer it a little bit, but I don't. Again, I have an answer. It might not be a great one.
Yeah, just picking your brain.
Yeah, totally. No, it's hard to say that because it is kind of like the Wild West, like you said. This is uncharted territory. No artist has had to deal with this climate because this climate is new, and it's great. You just have to figure out how to do things, right? Like it's great to have this technology out there where you can directly get some sort of content directly to your fan base, and that is a great thing. That's the great part. However, as you said, with the physical copies, there's not a place that you go to find music like
Right.
you used to. There's not a listening booth in a Sam Goody like there used to be.
Yeah, yeah.
They just that doesn't exist. You kind of, and you're struggling to find yourself amongst everything that's streaming out there, and that's everything is streaming out there, so it's really hard to find your niche. There is an option out there though, and you got to find it for what your art is. I think you have to find your own niche. You have to, because there is so much going on, you have to be able to look at what your art form is and how you want it to speak to your fan base. So yes, an album, if you've got 12 great songs that the hair stands up on your arms when you listen to, that means that there's at least one other person in the world that will get that same feeling, in my opinion. So as long as you could get that hair to stand up for yourself, it's good content. So put it out there. If you have 12, cool. Find a cool way to put out those 12 songs. If you have two, but they are fucking bangers, find a cool way to put those out. Like there's always, like, especially for musicians, I feel like in the past a lot of musicians, and I've done it before too, run into a roadblock of, okay, now I've got this song and now I'm ready. I'm going to put it out, but I don't know how else to create something around it.
Hmm.
Like it's not just, it used to always be in the 90s was a music video.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that doesn't really do what it does, in 2020. So
Right.
what else can you do? There's other visuals, there's other cool ways that you have to look at your piece of art and look at it and go, here's what it is. Here's the vision. Here's what I was thinking when I was creating that. How can I use that to give it more of a three-dimensional vibe. Like now it's no longer something that you're just going to listen to. Now I want to make everyone see why they need to be a part of this. And I think that's, again, not a great answer to your question because it doesn't specifically speak on it, but it does kind of like help. Like if you have a piece of art, you need to start now thinking, once you have it, how do I create an ambiance around it? And I think that that's kind of what you do. And if your ambiance is 12 songs, then yes, put out an album. If your ambiance is like these 3 songs or whatever out of the 12 that I really like, then figure a way to do that really cool. And that would be the only advice I would have on it.
Yeah, you know what, man? I really love that answer. I mean, honestly, kind of a thought that I kind of struggle with is just like instead of doing it to try and get exposure, or get rich, or get famous, or whatever the motive is behind it, just do your art because you want to do it, and then the people who are gonna fuck with it are gonna find it and fuck with it regardless of
Totally. I mean,
you know.
the honest thing there, and I've met a lot of people, talked to a lot of people in my career. Look, if you set out for money in this thing called music that is art, 9 times out of 10 you ain't gonna find it. So you better be doing it for another reason. And I think, and then if you're passionate enough, you work hard enough, you continually grow as a musician or as an artist, um, and you really feel it. If you really feel it and you're putting in the time and the effort, eventually those other things will come. But you have to be 100% all in, and you're not going to get there unless you love it.
Yeah, and I agree. And honestly, I've had, like I said, trouble with that with my band. The music business is such a difficult business, and then you have a niche genre like metal or progressive metal or anything. But with
Hmm.
this podcast, I mean, 103 episodes in, I've never gotten paid for an episode, but I'm still here because I like talking shit with people. And the fact that I'm here sitting talking to you, someone who, like I said, I listened to from when I was 11 years old, it really proves that if you do something because you love to do it and because you're dedicated and you put in the work, that it will be recognized by people like you and others. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to talk to me today, brother. I think it's a great note to end on.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you too, man. That's really cool. Like you said, you put yourself out there on Instagram Live, and this is what happened. I appreciate it. We talked a little bit about my show and how I felt nervous to talk to Eric Bischoff and Jake the Snake Roberts and all these other people. So I feel good about having this conversation with you, and hopefully your fans appreciate what I had to say.
No, for sure, man. I know that there's a charity that you're working with one of your podcast partners.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, with Chris Santos.
yes, I couldn't
That
remember
that
his last name,
charity,
but plug it. Go ahead, get
Chris
all your plugs
Santos.
in.
So that is actually ended already. We might
Scheisse.
do a second. We might do a second run of it. I have to talk to Chris about that. But yeah, he had a really cool. He's a celebrity chef, and he's part of the Tao employee relief fund. He had to lay off like almost 5,000 people amongst the pandemic, and I just teamed up with him, tried to get some money raised. I donated a signature bass that I signed
Yes,
that I actually played on our last tour.
yes.
And yeah, so and then we got some really great guests. We had Robert Trujillo come on from Metallica.
That
We
was a
had
great episode,
Jamie
man.
Just. Oh, thank you. We had Jamie Josta, Lizzie Hale, and they all had different things that they were able to donate to this charity as well to raise money. And we ended up raising a good amount of money that was going to go to some people who really needed it. And that
That's
was
awesome.
that was really fun. And I couldn't thank Chris enough for. I mean, I wanted to do something good, and he already had the organization, so we just teamed up. We were gonna have him on the show before the pandemic happened. He was getting ready to move out to LA from New York, yada yada yada. He's going to be in person at some point when this pandemic can die down a little bit, and hopefully he'll show me how to cook a couple of things.
Yeah, I almost bought Josta's Slayer shorts, man, but you know what I mean? They were a little too
Shorts, the ball
crusty.
sweat shorts.
Yeah, they were a little too ball sweaty for me. But Johnny, it's been phenomenal. Make sure you guys check out his podcast, Drinks with Johnny, on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts. And make sure you
Yeah.
follow Avenged Sevenfold. If you don't already, what are you doing? Other than that, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at The Throne Podcast with underscores. Other than that, Johnny Christ, man. Cheers. Thank you so
Cheers,
much for
man.
coming
Thank you
out,
so
bro.
much. Yeah, thanks.
It's
Appreciate it,
been a
man.
pleasure, man.